is WVVA in Focus, a weekly program about important issues and events in the two Virginias.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this edition of In Focus. Hey, it's springtime. It's time to get outside, enjoy the wild and wonderful beauty of West Virginia and all the adventures it has to offer. And that includes the Mountain States State Parks. That includes Camp Creek. So joining me right now in the studio to share more information is Josie Lester. She's the vice co-chairman of Camp Creek State Park and Forest Foundation. Josie, it's great to have you here.
Oh, it's good to be here. We're so excited that you came to get to explain some about our park and foundation.
Right. We're excited to share more about the park, the foundation. We're going to learn about that and some upcoming events. So first, let's talk more about the foundation. What is it?
Camp Creek State Park and Forest Foundation is just friends of the parks. We get together, we have a great time to beautify and just the upkeep of the park.
And I understand you're always looking for volunteers, right?
Yes, we are. We can always use volunteers to help. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer, you just come and say, hey, I would love to help. And there's no fees, there's no nothing. You just come and volunteer, and we'll make you a part of this organization. And we just take it to heart.
And Josie, what are some of the things that volunteers might do? I understand they could pick up trash. What are some things that they might do to help the state park?
A lot of things that we do is the events. Like the event coming up April 15th at 10 o'clock is our ramp dinner. It consists of the lumberjack competition sports. We're having a flea market. But the ramps is a very local, it's a West Virginian thing. That's what we do. So we'll be having that the 15th around 10 o'clock. The lumberjack sports, we've had them there for 3 years. Everybody is so excited to see them out there. If you want to see a good sport competition, we have ladies and men, lumberjills, lumberjacks.
And are they coming from all over the state and the region to Camp Creek?
They actually come all over the country.
Wow.
Yes. The first one we did, we had the oldest lumberjack man. And he came out and he showed the guys up.
Oh, I bet he did.
Oh, it was fantastic.
Okay, so this is all happening April 15th. So we have the ramp dinner, lumberjack competition, vendor, flea market. Do we know a time yet when everything's set to start on the 15th? It should start at 10 o'clock. Perfect. All right, and if anyone was interested in learning more, what's the best way to get in touch with Camp Creek? Is it to call? Is there an email? There is an email, but our information number is 304-425-9481. She will be glad to talk to you. It's Miss Pam Buchanan. She actually works for the park and is part of the foundation. Perfect. So call that number, talk to Pam. She'll help you. And then Josie, coming up May 6th, this sounds fun. Jeeping at the Creek. What is all that about? This will come the second time that this, it's a very fun event. We have organizations. The Jeeping at the Creek is its own organization and followers, but our Army actually comes out and helps. If you want to know anything about your Jeep, if you need any part for your Jeep, you come on out, they will be glad to show you, and we will be having breakfast that morning, the foundation will, and maybe hot dogs later in the evening. That sounds great. What time does that start on the 6th of May? That will probably start around 9 a.m., and as everything else, it runs until 4 or 5 o'clock. Perfect, an all-day event. And then coming up in July, this one piqued my interest, Josie. July 14th, Three Rivers Avian Wings of Wonder, West Virginia Birds of Prey. What is all that about? That is one of the best things I have ever been involved in. They come to the park, they bring all their magnificent creatures. We had the bald eagles, there is a falcon, a peregrine falcon, because there is a big difference. We have owls. She brings so many different things. I can't remember her name. Oh, yeah, Wendy Peroni with the Three Rivers Avian Center.
Yes.
But yeah, this sounds like a highly educational event for kids and families to come out and learn more about the birds of prey.
It really is. It's a celebration that of their part in our ecosystem. And most people don't realize that our birds of prey, raptors, are part of the ecosystem. They take care of all kinds of things. But you can see them up close. You can learn about their habitats, where they live, what they eat, and the harm of the lead and stuff that has made our all of our birds of prey, because they are scavengers, and it has made them deathly sick.
Yes, yes, so highly educational to learn about how the lead is impacting the birds of prey as well. So that's July 14th. What time does all that start?
That will be an evening event at Early Moon Shelter. Around 7 o'clock in the evening, they come in after it gets a little dark. The birds, you know, typically are night birds,
Yeah.
except for the eagle and he, but they like the darkness and the cool. But once again, the foundation will be serving hot dogs and nachos. So while you're out there learning, and the kids just love it, they have all this great information. Wendy is spectacular when it comes to the knowledge she has. And right now, they are taking care of one of our bald eagles from Sandstone that was hit by a car.
Yep.
And he's recuperating. I understand he's doing great. So, but they will show you the one that they take everywhere. I highly recommend it.
Well, I'm marking that on my calendar. July 14th, that sounds fun. That's the Three Rivers Avian Wings of Wonder, West Virginia Birds of Prey at Camp Creek State Park. And then coming up in August, there's the Peak of the Balloon wagon rides. And so my form here says call for dates and times starting August 1st. Is that still being worked out, the details?
Well, what it is, you have to get on a list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have, we call it the People Mover. It's a wagon that holds 12 people. It's handicap accessible. They hook it to either the big tractor or one of the four-wheel drives, and it takes you on top of the mountain.
Wow.
And it's just beautiful. At that time, the sunflowers are in bloom. You've got all the corn and stuff that they plant for the wildlife. Everything is just beautiful in August.
I bet those views are fantastic. And then also September 16th, Fall Festival, Music, Vendors, and Flea Market. Let's talk about the September 16th event.
September the 16th is our big finale, we call it. So we do the Fall Festival with, we have bluegrass music, we have people that just come in, try to get local people to come in, and they play, it could be gospel, it could be bluegrass, it could be country. They just play a variety, but we usually have two different sets, one morning, one in the evening. And again, we'll be doing barbecues. So anytime you come to Camp Creek, expect to eat.
Yes, come hungry, right?
Yes.
Now, do any of these events cost anything to attend?
No, ma'am. Everything is free. All we ask is that you come and enjoy yourself, bring your family. Camp Creek is a very family-oriented park. That's what we go for. All the money that the foundation raises, we turn right back into Camp Creek Park to help beautify. So far, we've done the amphitheater. We have built the fire pit with the swings up at the campground.
That is fantastic. There's a lot of great things to see in Camp Creek. For those viewers who live in the farther ends of our viewing area, it's right off I-77. So let's just tell them how they can get there too.
Coming from Princeton, you just go up 77 and you'll turn on Route 20. And from Route 20, you're on 19. You come, maybe a 1/10 of a mile, you'll see Camp Creek Park, and you'll just follow it to the end.
Yeah, it's not far at all to get there. From Bluefield, I'd say it's about maybe 20, 25-minute drive. It's great. Camp Creek is beautiful. Well, Josie, thank you so much for coming to our studio and sharing more information about all these great events starting in April 15th. Can't wait.
Oh, you're welcome.
And we'll be right back after this break, everyone.
Hey, welcome back to this edition of In Focus, everyone. Right now we're talking about another event coming to the Clover Club in Bluefield, West Virginia. Joining me now in the studio to share more information is Matt Deal. Matt, it's always great to have you here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for allowing me to come by and talk about this a little bit.
So what's coming up on the 17th at the Clover Club?
So there's a band called the Ghost Tabernacle Choir, which they've got a member or two with some local roots around here, but they're based out of Savannah, Georgia. And in just the year and change, I think, well, it's a couple years they've been together, they've sort of seemed to get a lot of momentum really, really fast. And they're heading out on their first big East Coast tour, and we're reaching out, kind of trying to see if they might be able to play a connecting date here in the Bluefield, Princeton area. And by fortune and fate, I got tagged in a Facebook post.
Nice.
And next thing you know, here we are, and we got ourselves a 4-band metal show coming to the Clover Club on April 17th.
Wow, that answered my next question. I was going to say, what kind of genre is this? What kind of music do they play?
Loud and wild. Like,
Nice.
I love music over all the spectrum, but it takes me back to when I first got to this area as a teenager. I remember going and seeing like punk shows at the Princeton Rec Center and kind of being amazed because somewhere in my, McDowell County raised brain, if you want to play loud, crazy guitars and scream, that only happens in the big cities. We don't do that here, And these people did not care. They were putting it on in a rec center. We'll do it ourselves. And that changed a lot for me. That really inspired me musically, and I've, been able to do a lot of weird, fun, loud things since. So whenever there's a chance for something like that to come to an area, I want to encourage it as much as possible. And these guys, they go loud and they go hard. So if metal and hard rock is your cup of tea, then we've got a lot of good things on the bill for you this particular evening.
Very cool. Okay, so mark your calendars. That's going to be April 17th, the Clover Club. What time does it start, Matt, and how much are the tickets?
It's going to start at 7 o'clock. I think doors are going to open at 6:30, if I'm not mistaken. And tickets are only $10. You get 4 acts for $10. And we're talking about the Ghost Tabernacle Choir is the headlining act, of course, touring. And before them, we'll have the Hooligans, fans and the Hooligans, who have had a huge following around here for years. Red Audio, which are some of my best friends in the world, and I always tell people when I'm describing their music, when the aliens attack, this is the music I want playing. Like this is what I want when we all go out in the streets and riot because the apocalypse has come. And another local act called Dragged, which are some new heavy hitters in the area, but I've seen them play from some footage of their show they did at the shop recently, and they are not playing any games either. So if you have been a little bit bored and you need to hear something a little bit louder, we have absolutely your cup of tea. We've got you.
Right, and hopefully the aliens don't come and take us all away on the 17th.
Not yet, not yet. No, I've still got stuff to do.
Right, we still have things to do. But I love the fact that there's like multiple bands playing. So what does it mean to have this concert event at the Clover Club for folks in the area, Matt?
Well, as I was sort of telling you before, that we are doing a great job here lately of having so much good music, original music, live music in the area. And I think we could just also get weirder with it. We have 2 universities right here in town, Bluefield University, Bluefield State University, Concord University is a stone's throw away up the road. We have a lot of youth, and it's not even just about what's locally in the area. When I see a band that I want to go see and they're within a 2-3 hour whatever drive, I'll go. And something like this is exactly the kind of thing. There is no reason that Bluefield can't be that next place that's just known as a spot on the map where, yeah, you can stop over there. So when people are out on these, East Coast national tours, I want them to remember that we've got a lot of great spots here in Bluefield where you can show up and play the craziest stuff, and we will bring you people. So that's what I want to happen for our community.
Right, and are you the main organizer, or how did this event really piece together to get it to come to the Clover Club?
That's the beautiful part. It really was a Facebook post.
Cool.
The drummer, Tanner from Ghost Tabernacle Choir, an incredibly talented musician who's in a number of acts. We're sort of Facebook friends, and he posts and says, hey, Bluefield, Princeton area. Somebody tags me, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't officially book up there, but real quick, and I start messaging people, and big shout out to Soul Vapor in Bluefield, Virginia, vape shop there, hookah lounge. They agreed to sponsor the event so that all these proceeds can just go to these bands. Like I'm maybe singing one song with it, but other than that, I'm just helping to get this bad boy together. But big shout out to Soul Vapor for stepping up and say, yeah, we'll sponsor it, so that way these guys can make some money as they're going through on their tour. Everybody can have a little bit of fun, and we can, for a very low cost, bring some very cool music to the people of Bluefield.
And where else is the Holy Ghost Tabernacle Choir going to? Like, what other cities are they touring?
Oh man, well I know that the reason this is happening the night it is I believe they're in Charlotte the night before and like Knoxville the night after, and they're tearing all the way up to New York and down the East Coast, and I think out there towards the middle a little bit, but yeah, it's expansive. All of April, they're going to be on the road. So, you know, if you can't come to this one, catch them somewhere else if you can. But we'd love to see you at this show.
Right, and that's great that this is happening right in Bluefield, so you don't have to drive 2.5 hours to Charlotte. You can come right to the Clover Club
That's right.
and watch them perform.
That's right. Get on in there. And it's more of this in the area is exactly what I'd like to see. So anytime I could help to make that happen, and anybody else that wants to get in on that in the future, you just let me know. It'd be like if you want to bring more music like this to the area, then I'm happy to help any way that I can.
Well, that's a good point, Matt. It seems like there's more and more events happening in downtown Bluefield. So what is your hope looking ahead as far as like the entertainment scene in Bluefield?
Well, I would say that what Bluefield is downtown right now compared to, I moved up here about 98, 99. I mean, it's obviously leaps and bounds from where it was. And I would say that I think, and I'm not a hopeful person necessarily, I'm known usually as being pretty pessimistic, but I think we've only just begun. I think that we really could be at the beginning of something beautiful, a kind of art scene that people flock to, the kind of a destination where shows happen and people come in and they spend all their money to go see it. Because whenever I go out on the town to go see a show, I don't care. Suddenly I'm spending like I'm in a whole different income bracket. Like, let's go to a restaurant. Give me that. Let's go here too. What's that? I don't care. Give me. I want to buy it as well. And there's no reason Bluefield can't be one of those towns too. I think people are ready to go see something cool and we're ready to show them.
Right, and that's a good point too. It's like I'm the same way. I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm extra hungry tonight. Let's go shopping. Let's do this and that. But this really does help like those businesses downtown as well when you have concerts like this happening.
Yeah, bring more stuff down there. People are going to want to do other things while they're there. We're a needy species. So if there's more humans downtown Bluefield, they're going to need to spend some money on something. So we'll be happy to help them with it.
I love it. Matt, anything else you feel like our viewers should know about the upcoming performance at the Clover Club on the 17th?
Again, 7 o'clock, $10 is all it takes. Those doors will open at 6:30. Another big shout out again to Soul Vapor for helping us and sponsoring it. And a big thanks to anybody that comes ahead of time from the bottom of my heart. Live music doesn't happen without the support and help of people actually showing up and being present for it. It's a special thing that we get to do as humans, and it's a special kind of community that we get to build together one show at a time. And I'd love to see you all there.
Great. Well, thank you, Matt Deal, so much for joining us in the studio. Stay with us. We'll hear from Brian Tracy coming up next on a Little Richard documentary coming to the Granada. Stay with us. Welcome back to this edition of In Focus, everyone. Right now, we're going to talk about the Little Richard I Am Everything film. It's coming to the historic Granada Theater. Joining me now on set, Brian Tracy, the executive director of the Bluefield Arts and Revitalization Corporation. That's a mouthful. BARC. Brian, it's great to have you back on set.
Great to be here.
So let's talk about this film coming to the Granada.
Yes, we are very proud to be one of 500 theaters chosen nationwide to have the theatrical premiere of this documentary, Little Richard, I Am Everything. So April 11th, 7 o'clock at the Granada Theater.
Great, so that'll be Tuesday the 11th, and can folks purchase tickets in person, online?
Both, yes. Online at bluefieldgranada.com, and of course, the evening of the show at our box office in the lobby.
That's wonderful. So how was the Granada chosen as one of only 500 venues to show the release of Little Richard, I Am Everything?
Well, I found out through our booking agent that this film was in very limited release in April before it will go nationwide on April 21st. And I asked our booking agent to make the pitch to the studio that we should bring that movie, they should bring that movie to Bluefield. And it was based on our fantastic venue, the restored historic Granada Theater, our recent success in showing first-run films at the theater, and then most importantly, Bluefield's connection to Little Richard. He played here May 6, 1957 at the Bluefield Auditorium. There's a poster from that show in the archives of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. And Little Richard and his band stayed in Bluefield at the Hotel Thelma, the Green Book site, on the city's north side. So our booking agent made that pitch, and we were selected as one of 500 theaters nationwide to premiere the film.
Wow, and that's incredible that Little Richard actually was here in 1957.
1957.
Stayed at Hotel Thelma, and now we're going to see the film coming up on Tuesday, the 11th. Oh, this is incredible. Now, Brian, you brought something with us that you actually found as the Raleigh Street Cinemas is being renovated. Let's take a look at that.
So everybody knows that Little Richard was the original king of rock and roll. When he came to Bluefield in 1957, he was touring to promote his most recent single, Lucille, other hits, Tutti Frutti, Good Golly Miss Molly, all those songs. But Little Richard was also a gospel singer. And this movie that we're premiering shows and deals with the conflicts that he faced between his rock and roll, his Christian faith, and his sexuality. I found this in the lower level of the Granada a few months ago when we were cleaning out the space in preparation to start construction for the Raleigh Street Cinemas. And it's a gospel album from 1968. The king of the gospel singers, playing on his title as the original king of rock and roll, with the Quincy Jones Orchestra, big name. Wow. This was in the Granada, buried deep in a box in one of the far reaches of what will now be our cinema, the Raleigh Street Cinemas. So the film that we're about to show shows, or will play, not only his rock and roll hits, but also some of the gospel songs that he recorded on this album in the 1960s.
Well, that's incredible that this was discovered a few months ago, and I'm looking at it, Brian. It looks like it's in excellent condition.
It is. I've played it.
Oh, neat.
Cleaned up the record. Sounds great.
Wow. So where did you find it at?
I found it in a box in what will now be the lower level Raleigh Street Cinemas underneath the Granada. Who knows how long it had been there?
Right.
Decades.
Oh my gosh, that's
Decades.
like full circle back, and now the film is playing.
And now we get to show the Little Richard documentary. It's a great movie. It has a 95% score on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes for critics. And Variety magazine calls it an enthralling portrait of a complex man. And The Hollywood Reporter says that it is wildly entertaining. So if you're turned off initially because it's a documentary, remember, it's a music documentary with the music of Little Richard.
And Brian, we actually have the trailer as well, so
Great.
I'd love to watch that if we can take a look at it, audio and all.
It's just like a shot out of a cannon.
His voice? My God, who is that?
He created the rock and roll icon.
Sorry, y'all. It wasn't Elvis.
I am the king of rock and roll!
The first songs that you love that your parents hate is the beginning of the soundtrack of your life.
Little Richard's lyrics were too lewd to get airplay on the radio.
They was not that dirty. They were just as clean as you were.
The South is the home of all things queer.
They called him a sissy, a punk.
I was not supposed to be the hero for their kids.
Little Richard has an incredible string of hits.
And so what they did was they said, we're going to put the white butts on him.
Got a gal, her name's Sue. Knows just what to do.
Shut up!
The legacy of Little Richard is complex.
Did you know that Elvis Presley and Pat Boone sold more of Tutti Frutti than I did?
Little Richard was renouncing his queerness.
He didn't want to burn in hell. That's the way we were taught.
He was very, very good at liberating other people. He was not good at liberating himself.
Little Richard gave the world permission to be.
Ready, set, go, man, go. Long Uncle John with bald head Sally. He saw Aunt Mary coming and he ducked back in the alley. Michael was inspired by me. Prince, James Brown, I discovered him. Jimi Hendrix was my guitar player.
I used to stand on the desk and do Little Richard.
I love you, Paul. Hello, Linda.
Everyone was beholden to him.
He spit on every rule there was in music.
I was unpredictable. They didn't know what I was going to do. Now you got it. God gave it. Show it to the world. My.
Oh, I'm already captivated, Brian. I think I'll be there on the 11th. Wow, this looks like a great film, and this is just wonderful that it's coming to the Granada. Incredible.
Yes, we're very excited, and we hope the community will come out and support this kind of film, because then we can make the case to studios all across the country to bring films like this to Bluefield, West Virginia.
And while I have you here, let's talk about the Raleigh Street Cinemas and how things are going with it.
Things are going very well. We should be open sometime in late May. We will have two first-rate 50-seat movie theaters, all brand new construction underneath the Granada Theater, separate entrance, one website for tickets, but two entrances, the historic auditorium at the Granada Theater on Commerce Street, and then the Raleigh Street Cinemas, brand new theaters, state-of-the-art projection and audio with an entrance on Raleigh Street.
That's so exciting. So what will be the difference as far as the showings in Raleigh Street Cinemas compared to the Granada?
We will be showing first-run movies in both locations. Our bigger blockbuster movies will start in the Granada. We've had great success recently with Jesus Revolution, big crowds. We're opening Air this week, the Michael Jordan story with Nike. That opens Wednesday, April 5th at the Granada.
Wonderful.
We're hopeful for big crowds there as well. Smaller first-run movies, or I should say first-run movies that'll attract smaller audiences, 40, 50 people at a time, we'll feature those in the lower level. But first-run movies will be highlighted in all three of our cinemas, but that doesn't mean that we've forgotten our classic movie fans as well. We'll be mixing those in during the course of the year also.
Right, in the Granada, it's not just about movies. I mean, the Hope Words Writers Conference was there. There's a number of events that have been held at the Granada.
The Hope Words Writers Conference, people came from all over the country, really all over the world for that. We featured youth theater from Princeton, Planet Extreme. They did a great production of The Little Mermaid. More than 800 people came out. Live music at the Granada as well. So something for everybody. Music,
Brian,
movies, and more.
I appreciate you being here. We've run out of time for this edition of In Focus. We'll see you all next Sunday, though.